Hello and welcome back to the Asian Athletic. We have some breaking news, so I'm going to get straight into it. So basically, in a nutshell, Malaysia played 7 players in their national team who were not Malaysian. They weren't allowed to play for the Malaysian national team. They lied about the fact that they were Malaysian. I mean, it's just pure chaos. It's just so bizarre. So basically, last week, FIFA sanctioned the Football Association of Malaysia for allegedly fielding 7 players in an Asian Cup qualifier against Vietnam back in June. So FIFA has disciplined them due to violating Article 22 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code, which is about forgery and falsification of players' documents. Just for some context, if you've not been keeping up with the news, 7 players, Gabriel Arrocha, Facundo Garces, Rodrigo Holgado, Imanol Machuca, Joao Figuiredo, Jon Irazabal and Hector Serrano played for Malaysia against Vietnam. Now, it's not uncommon for countries to field players who were not born in that country. Under FIFA rules, naturalized citizens can play for the team. If you have a biological parent or grandparent born in that country, you are also eligible to play for that team. If you have lived there for at least 5 years, you are also allowed to play for that team. A good example of a country that does this a lot is Indonesia, who have fielded plenty of players who were born in Europe but have Indonesian heritage through their parents or grandparents. I think this makes complete sense. If you live in a country and settle there for many years, I think it's fair to say you have a connection to the country and should be allowed to play for them. Malaysia itself actually has a lot of players who have met these criteria. Dion Cools was born in Belgium. Laver Corbin Ong, Stuart Wilkin are born in the UK. Matthew Davis was born in Australia. Wan Kuzain was born in the United States. Noah Lane was born in Finland. All of them have at least one Malaysian parent or grandparent. There's also a few players with no Malaysian heritage but play for the national team because they are naturalized citizens of Malaysia. Muhammadu Samara, who was born in Gambia, Paulo Jose from Brazil, Ezequiel Aguero from Argentina. So what harm would 7 more do? It's pretty normal, clearly, for Malaysia to do this and other countries in Asia. However, Malaysia has apparently not shown any legitimate proof that those 7 players fit any of those requirements. The thing is, though, is that these players were fielded a long time ago in the summer. Some of them actually made their international debuts back in March. When documents are submitted, they're usually just accepted. The vetting process is apparently really short, and FIFA doesn't really snoop around too much looking for hard proof. However, if there's a complaint or request for an investigation, then FIFA will go ahead and do a really rigorous investigation. Clearly, somebody tipped off FIFA, and now Malaysia is in a lot of trouble because suddenly FIFA realized, oh wait, there's no proof that these guys have Malaysian ancestry. Now, the Football Association of Malaysia is outraged, but so is the region of Johor, part of the Malaysian royal family. Basically, the narrative in Malaysia is about why a decision has been made months after the players were made eligible to play for the national team. If these players are really eligible to play for Malaysia, it should be pretty easy to find proof. But in the past week, the Football Association of Malaysia has been skirting around that issue. They haven't provided any documents. Instead, what happened was that when these 7 players were declared eligible to play for the Malaysian national team, the Football Association simply claimed that their grandparents had been born in Malaysia. FIFA said okay, and they just moved on. However, after FIFA were tipped off, they did an investigation and found that none of this was true. FIFA went ahead and found the original birth certificates of the grandparents, which found that all the grandparents were born in Brazil, Argentina, Spain, and the Netherlands, not Malaysia. Just as an example, according to the Football Association of Malaysia, Hector Serrano's grandfather was born in Malacca, but FIFA found his birth certificate, which says he was born in The Hague, which is in the Netherlands. Then, the National Registration Department, which is a part of the Malaysian government, came out and said that they had issued new birth certificates for the grandparents, even though they couldn't find the original ones. They made brand new birth certificates for the players' grandparents based on documents that they had apparently found from Argentina, Brazil, Spain, and the Netherlands. This is just so bizarre. It's an even bigger deal when these players were part of a team that defeated Vietnam in an Asian Cup qualifier. These are two rival nations competing for a spot at a major competition. Both nations, I would say, are somewhat even in terms of their skill. So this fixture was really, really important to both teams. No wonder the Vietnamese are seething. It's gotten really, really ugly. Ultras Malaya, the biggest ultra group for the Malaysian national team, even went ahead and showed their support for FIFA's sanctions. They're sick and tired of these types of scandals. Malaysian fans, they just cannot catch a break, and it's a real shame, especially as Malaysian football has been rising in the past couple of years alongside other Southeast Asian countries, but this has really tarnished their reputation. The fact that it also involves Malaysia's National Registration Department, a literal branch of the government, makes the scandal even larger and worse. It shows that the issues are institutional, not just within Malaysia's Football Association, but within the whole country. And I actually feel bad for the players involved in this because there's very little that we know about them. There's not a lot of information about them. For all we know, they were contacted by the Football Association of Malaysia and were told that they were eligible because they had a grandparent or somebody else in their family. Of course, players would take this opportunity. I mean, like, why not? We saw this with Ben Brereton, an English striker who played at the time for Blackburn. He was contacted by Chile after they did an investigation and found that Ben Brereton had some Chilean ancestry. So he became Ben Brereton Diaz, and it was a really funny but heartwarming story where he was able to reconnect with his lost Chilean ancestry, and he ended up being quite good for Chile. Meanwhile, Rodrigo Holgado, one of the 7 players, has been suspended from playing pro football, and he's left Colombia, where he used to play his football, and has travelled to Malaysia right now with his agent, scrambling to save what is left of his career and try and appeal. So it really begs the question, how much did the players know? It's often forgotten that it is actually a privilege to know your grandparents really closely. Many people are not in contact with them, or their grandparents passed away when they were quite young. So did the players actually know if their grandparents were from Malaysia? Like, to what extent did they know? The chaos doesn't end there either. The Malaysian competition management system got hacked twice. Malaysian football got hacked. The system holds important information about players, match statistics, team registrations, and competition documents. These are important details that are confidential. They're not public. It's all under the management of the Football Association of Malaysia. The entirety of Malaysian football was held ransom by a group of anonymous hackers. The hackers left a message on the website which said, "Are you playing football or making fake ID cards? Win against Vietnam, lost to document printers." Ouch. The system was restored that night. This was on Sunday night, but then it was immediately hacked again and held for ransom. It is right now, I believe, back in the hands of the Football Association of Malaysia, but I genuinely have no words. So what now? What next for Malaysia? Well, this morning, Malaysia confirmed that it had received more details about FIFA's decision. In the report, FIFA stated that, quote, "Presenting fraudulent documentation with the purpose of gaining eligibility to play for a national team constitutes pure and simple a form of cheating, which cannot in any way be condoned." FIFA then said it was comfortably satisfied that the paperwork from Malaysia was forged or doctored to alter the birthplaces of the grandparents. Malaysia then stated that they will continue to appeal through legal channels. Essentially what this means is they have 3 more days to decide whether they want to do a formal appeal. If they do decide to appeal, then they have 5 more days to submit a full appeal to FIFA. FIFA will then re-examine the case and can either uphold, reduce, or even overturn the sanction. If the Football Association of Malaysia is not happy with FIFA's ruling, they can appeal to a higher court, which is the Court of Arbitration of Sport located in Switzerland. They can only do this within 21 days of FIFA's ruling though. When the court gives their verdict, the ultimate punishment is then left in the hands of the Asian Football Confederation. It's important to obviously distinguish between FIFA and AFC because FIFA has punished the players, not Malaysia. The AFC is currently deciding how to punish Malaysia and will implement this punishment when they are able to. Of course, if Malaysia decides to jump through all the hoops and do all the appeals and counter all the rulings as I explained before, then this punishment actually gets pushed back further and further. The punishment could be anything though. It could be points deductions, be fines, and worst case scenario, be bans from AFC tournaments such as the Asian Cup, the very tournament which led to this whole fiasco. Personally, I think Malaysia will do everything they can to buy as much time as they can. This means appealing to FIFA and then the Court of Arbitration of Sport. This will buy them the maximum amount of time before the AFC swings their gavel. Most likely, Malaysia will get a points deduction in the Asian Cup qualifiers. This will probably be the end of their Asian Cup qualifying campaign, a proper gut punch considering all the hype. At the worst though, Malaysia will be outright banned from the Asian Cup and possibly other AFC tournaments like the Champions League. Actually, it's worth noting that Joao Figuiredo, Jon Irazabal and Hector Hevel play for Malaysian side Johor Darul Ta'zim. All three are banned for 12 months. So this is going to have a massive impact on Johor's season. Johor are first in the Malaysian league right now. After 7 games, they haven't lost a single game so far, and they have conceded just 3 goals. They also drew with Makita Zelvia last week in the Champions League, an absolutely gigantic result for them, which by the way, I did do an analysis of if you check out last week's video. This is an ambitious club looking to get far in the competition. They just lost 3 key players for 12 months. And it's not just Johor that is impacted by this. If Malaysia is banned from international tournaments like the Asian Cup, this could impact the under-23s Asian Cup too. The Malaysian under-23s have been fighting tooth and nail to try and qualify for next year's under-23 Asian Cup. Making that tournament is a big deal for both senior and junior teams. Could you imagine if the tournament of a lifetime is snatched from the under-23s because the administrators for the senior team acted out of order? It's a total nightmare, but at least Southeast Asian countries get to laugh at Malaysia, especially the Vietnamese. Vietnamese social media has been going haywire. I mean, all power to them. They probably feel incredibly vindicated right now. But for Asian football as a whole, it's a complete disaster. Asian football has historically been rife with corruption. Chinese football in the early 2000s had a stupid number of fixed games and corrupt referees, and so did Malaysia in the 1990s. Let's not even touch on some of the political controversies happening in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. That's a whole different can of worms. Every time we think Asian football has made progress, it goes ahead and takes 2 steps backwards. We see nations like Malaysia recruit players from abroad. They bring their diaspora back to their home nation and really build their national team's reputation abroad, only for events like this to happen. But for now, Malaysian football is caught in the balance. The next few weeks might be the difference between Malaysia being banned from all tournaments and being set back by a decade, or Malaysia continuing their steady development. This is a story that is still unfolding. I actually started recording this yesterday, but when I woke up this morning, there had been more news, so I had to re-record. I try and always get the best content for you guys, which is why I re-recorded it and I'm releasing it today, because I'm sure by the end of this week, there'll be more information and I'll have to make another video, which I will try my best to do. Let me know what you guys think will happen down in the comments. Personally, I think this is disastrous. This is a calamitous event. If you want to stay up to date with Asian football, make sure you follow our Instagram at The Asian Athletic. There you can find all sorts of updates, mood boards, and other cool and interesting posts. It is the best way to stay updated on what is happening with Asian football. Thanks for watching this video, and as always, see you later.